lesson is about the Chernobyl disaster. Reactor 4, a late-night safety test, an explosion, radiation, evacuation, clean-up, and the long shadow of a nuclear accident. So sit back, get comfortable, and imagine a control room at night, lit by small panels and quiet instruments, before history changes. Tonight we are going to speak softly about Chernobyl. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant was located in the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic near the city of Pripyat, in what was then the Soviet Union. On April 26, 1986, Reactor 4 exploded during a late-night safety test. The accident became the worst nuclear power plant disaster in history. The reactor was an RBMK design, a Soviet reactor type with specific characteristics that became important during the accident. The test was meant to see whether the turbine could provide enough power for cooling systems during a brief gap after loss of external power and before emergency generators fully started. The conditions before the test were unstable. Power levels had fallen too low. Operators attempted to raise them. Safety systems were disabled or bypassed, and the reactor entered a dangerous state. Design flaws, procedural violations, communication failures, and institutional pressures all contributed. When operators initiated the shutdown, the reactor's behavior became uncontrollable. A sudden power surge led to explosions that destroyed the reactor core and blew open the building. Graphite burned, radioactive material was released, and firefighters arrived without fully understanding the radiation danger. The first responders showed extraordinary courage, but many were exposed to severe radiation. Some died from acute radiation sickness. The disaster was not immediately explained honestly to the public, and the evacuation of Pripyat did not begin until the following day. Pripyat had been built for plant workers and their families. It was a young city with schools, apartments, shops, parks, and everyday life. After the accident, residents were told they would be away temporarily. Many never returned to live there. The evacuation became one of the most haunting parts of the Chernobyl story. Buses arrived, people packed lightly, pets, belongings, photographs, toys, and furniture were left behind. A city designed for the future became an abandoned place almost overnight. Radiation is invisible, which makes the disaster especially unsettling. Fire, smoke, and damage can be seen. Radiation must be measured. Dosimeters, contamination maps, protective clothing, and exposure limits became part of the response. The Soviet authorities initially tried to control information. The wider world became aware after radiation was detected in Sweden. This delay damaged trust and became part of the political legacy of Chernobyl. The cleanup involved hundreds of thousands of workers, often called liquidators. They fought fires, removed debris, built containment structures, decontaminated areas, buried contaminated material, managed equipment, and performed dangerous tasks under difficult conditions. One of the most urgent tasks was containing the destroyed reactor. A structure often called the sarcophagus was built around Reactor 4 to reduce the release of radioactive material. Decades later, a newer confinement structure was placed over it to improve containment. The environmental effects of Chernobyl were complex. Radioactive contamination spread across parts of Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, and Europe. Some areas were heavily contaminated. Agricultural land, forests, animals, water, and human communities were affected in different ways. The health impacts are also complex and must be discussed carefully. Increased thyroid cancers, especially among those exposed as children to radioactive iodine, are one of the clearest documented consequences. Other health effects, psychological trauma, displacement, stigma, and uncertainty also shaped people's lives. Chernobyl changed how many people thought about nuclear power. It raised questions about reactor design, safety culture, secrecy, emergency response, and the relationship between technology and political systems. The phrase safety culture is important. A technology can be dangerous not only because of its hardware, but because of how people manage risk, training, transparency, reporting, procedure, design, oversight, and willingness to stop unsafe work all matter. The Chernobyl exclusion zone is now famous for abandoned buildings, forests, wildlife, and controlled visits. Images of Pripyat's amusement park, empty schools, and apartment blocks have become symbols of technological disaster and frozen time. But the zone is not simply a ghost story. It is a real place shaped by contamination, memory, research, workers, former residents, and ongoing management. Turning it into horror scenery alone would be disrespectful. Chernobyl also belongs to the history of the late Soviet Union. The disaster exposed problems of secrecy and bureaucracy and contributed to demands for openness. It did not by itself end the Soviet system, but it became part of the atmosphere of distrust and reform. For a quiet listener, the lesson is not that technology is evil, it is that powerful systems require humility. A reactor, an aircraft, a ship, a dam, a hospital, a city, a network, all depend on design, procedure, communication, and honest response when something goes wrong. The technical details of Chernobyl can feel difficult, but one simple idea helps. Complex systems need layers of protection. A reactor should be protected by design features, procedures, trained operators, automatic systems, clear communication, and a culture where safety concerns can be raised. At Chernobyl, too many layers failed or were weakened at once. The RBMK reactor had characteristics that made certain unstable conditions especially dangerous. Operators were not fully informed about all design risks. The test itself had been delayed, shifting work into the night and into a different operating context. Human error mattered, but it existed inside a wider system of design, pressure, secrecy, and incomplete information. The response after the explosion required improvisation. Helicopters dropped materials over the reactor. Miners dug beneath the site. Soldiers, engineers, drivers, doctors, scientists and workers performed tasks that were sometimes dangerous and poorly understood. Some liquidators knew the risks, others were given limited information. Pripyat's abandonment became one of the strongest symbols of the disaster because it preserved ordinary life mid-sentence. Classrooms, swimming pools, apartments, toys, books, hospital rooms and streets all seemed to stop. But the people did not stop. They had to begin again elsewhere, carrying loss, fear, and uncertainty. Radiation also created a strange relationship with the place. A village might look normal and still be unsafe. A forest might seem peaceful and still hold contamination in soil, leaves, mushrooms, or animals. Chernobyl reminds us that danger is not always visible to the senses. The disaster affected trust in experts and government. When official statements minimize the danger, people learn that information itself could be part of the crisis. In emergencies, honest communication can save lives. Silence can deepen harm. The exclusion zone later became a place of research. Scientists studied radiation, ecological change, wildlife, plant life, decay, and human absence. Some animals returned or flourished in areas with little human activity. Though this does not mean radiation is harmless, it means ecosystems are complicated and human absence can change landscapes in unexpected ways. Chernobyl's legacy continues through engineering lessons, memorials, medical monitoring, contaminated lands, displaced communities, documentaries, and public debate about nuclear power. It is not only a past event, it is a continuing responsibility. Chernobyl also changed emergency planning. Nuclear accidents require clear information about evacuation zones, iodine protection, food safety, contamination monitoring, medical care, and communication across borders. The accident showed that radiation does not respect political boundaries. The contamination of milk became especially important because radioactive iodine can enter the food chain. Children who consumed contaminated milk faced elevated thyroid risks. This detail is quiet but crucial. A technological accident can enter ordinary life through something as simple as breakfast. The human experience of relocation was also long-lasting. People who left contaminated villages or Pripyat did not only lose buildings, they lost neighborhoods, graves, gardens, routines, and a sense of home. Displacement can continue after the physical danger has passed. Some people later returned illegally or semi-legally to live in evacuated areas, especially older residents attached to ancestral homes. Their choices remind us that risk is not experienced only as a number. People weigh danger against memory, identity, poverty, loneliness, and belonging. Chernobyl is also a story about workers who remained. Even after the disaster, the site required monitoring, containment, maintenance, scientific work, and management. The accident did not end when the fire was controlled. It became a long project. The new safe confinement structure is one example of that long timeline. Built decades after the explosion, it shows how disaster response can stretch across generations. Engineers born after 1986 inherited responsibility for a reactor destroyed before they were alive. The disaster also influenced art, literature, film, tourism, and public imagination. Pripyat became visually iconic. The Ferris wheel, empty apartments, schoolrooms, and overgrown streets. But images can simplify. Behind every abandoned room is a person who once expected to return. For tonight, the lesson is not fear of science. It is respect for complexity. Powerful technology requires openness, humility, maintenance, and truth. Chernobyl remains a warning against systems that hide danger until danger can no longer be hidden. The accident also changed the lives of medical workers. Doctors and nurses treated patients with radiation injuries under difficult and sometimes uncertain conditions. They had to manage burns, contamination, immune damage, fear, and incomplete information. Medicine became part of the disaster response almost immediately. Scientific measurement became another form of truth-telling. Radiation readings, soil samples, food testing, thyroid monitoring, and long-term epidemiology all helped replace rumour with evidence. But evidence takes time, and people living with fear often need answers sooner than science can provide them. Chernobyl also raises the question of memory across generations. Children born after the accident inherited stories, restrictions, stigma, and sometimes health concerns. A disaster can enter family history even for people who did not witness the original event. The abandoned landscapes around Pripyat can look strangely peaceful in photographs. Trees grow, animals move, seasons pass. But that peace is complicated. It is not proof that nothing happened. It is proof that nature continues, while human systems remember, measure, and worry. The disaster's imagery has become globally recognizable. The reactor, the Ferris wheel, the dosimeter, the empty apartment block. These images can help people learn, but they can also become aesthetic objects, detached from suffering. A careful episode should keep returning from image to person. So the final Chernobyl lesson is about responsibility over time. Some mistakes last longer than the people who made them. Some structures must be maintained long after the headlines fade. Some truths must be spoken even when they are inconvenient. As this lecture closes, imagine Pripyat at night. Apartment windows are dark. Trees grow through pavement. A schoolroom is silent. In the distance, the reactor site remains monitored, contained, and remembered. Chernobyl is a story of failure, courage, secrecy, science, displacement, and long-term responsibility. Its lesson is quiet but serious. Invisible risks still require visible honesty. Tonight, let the control room lights dim. Let the abandoned streets rest under moonlight. Let the history remain careful and awake. I want to thank you for listening to Whisper University. If you made it all the way to the end, I'm very glad you are here. I hope tonight's quiet lesson helped you relax, learn something new, or simply drift for a little while in a calmer direction. If you enjoyed this whispered lecture, you can support Whisper University by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, or leaving a gentle comment with a topic you would like to hear next. It helps this little university grow and helps us keep making the world a little more relaxed and a little more curious through ASMR. Until the next quiet lesson, take care, breathe slowly, and rest well.